Hello, this is JJ from Paranormal Talks, paranormaltalks.com, and we're back for part 3 with Penny Kelly, who had a spontaneous kundalini awakening that put her in touch with higher vibrational frequency beings. And she even wrote a book about that back in the 80s. If you take a look, it's right here. Robes, a book of coming changes. And this was back in the 80s. Another book I want to point out that's very apropos for our time period right now in January of 2020 is Trump and the Sting, the storm to retake America. So you do want to check out those. Okay, so we have covered a lot of really good ground of what's coming up for us in 2020, how it impacts us personally, and also what's going on with our society and our politics, our government. So let's take a look at the economy and what's coming up for ourselves and our nation.
Okay. Yeah, that it's like, I think, if I had to say anything about the economy, probably the key word over the next few years is going to be confusion. That there's all kinds of change coming. There's this period where I see a whole bunch of different currencies all vying. I think some of them are cryptocurrencies, but it also looked like there were 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 different kinds of dollars.
Like paper dollars?
Paper dollars. And I'm just going to say one looked like the dollar we have now. Another one looked like a gold-backed dollar. And another one looked like some other kind of dollar backed by something else. I didn't understand. I'm not an economist by any stretch of the imagination. But in looking at that, I've thought many times, okay, what are the big relationships here? What is it we really need to know? I've been listening to people, and a couple of times I've even seen, we're going down. And then we don't. And what I've noticed is that, and here's the value of looking ahead. You look ahead and you see what you could see, so you can change whatever you can change. And people, with every single prediction that we're going down, people take action. Different people take steps to protect themselves.
Yes.
That withdraws their fear factor from the greater economy. And that's just enough to allow it to keep on floating along. And so I'm like, okay, that's really, maybe we should keep talking about, it's going down, so that people will wake up and do something different enough so that slowly more and more people are on the, okay, I'm ready. Which at that point, all that energy that was going into this tear down or fall apart thing stops flowing in that direction.
Good.
Consciousness is everything.
Yes.
So what you're doing with your consciousness and what you're seeing is so important.
Yes.
So, what I see is that, actually, did I make a note somewhere here in my little look-see? Let's see. I think it was May. Okay.
May?
I'll just read what I wrote for May. It's just a paragraph. France either collapses or gives the Yellow Jackets a voice. And later I thought, the Yellow Jackets was a term that came to me. It's really yellow vests, but I thought Yellow Jackets was much more appropriate.
Yes.
Because they're like stinging the French government in the behind, left and right.
Yes. Yes.
So they get a voice or something that they want in terms of the economy.
They're in the midst of a pension crisis. They cannot pay their pensioners, their government retarees, their pensions. Yeah.
You know what? That is one of the issues. If governments go down, who's going to pay all those government pensions?
Exactly. Well, that's why our property taxes are going up, up, and up. The state of Illinois 3 years ago, their pension fund for their retired government workers,
Right.
it's bankrupt. So they increased property taxes 30%. That's huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that whole system of government guaranteeing you a pension and you haven't contributed to it,
Yes, exactly. Yes.
that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work for us people who have to pay pensions until the rest of their life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
No, no.
So, yeah, okay. So let's see. England in turmoil. This is May 2020. England in turmoil. And that turmoil looked to be related to the Brexit, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Another volcano rumbling in Mexico. And then this was just a little odd thing I saw. A Rothschild family member is trying to make deals with wealthy individuals.
Hmm?
Whoever it is wants gold, silver, or cash in return for promises of future power once the Rothschilds return to power. This almost works but fails in the end due to a chance comment from someone he loves. So meaning that whoever the wealthy person was that was going to go along with this overhears this comment, something that I don't know what it was, but I just thought it was one of those little interesting details that comes up that you can't place really anywhere.
Huh.
A problem comes up for here's the big thing. A problem comes up for the Federal Reserve and the cabal. If they continue to fund the repo market, they're going to keep the banks alive, but they end up allowing Trump to continue holding things together. If they stop funding the repo market, banks will fail, and the
Right.
banks are their financial support system.
Right.
It looks like they decide to stop funding the repo market.
What?
So I thought, oh,
What?
and that seemed to be a turning point in terms of the election. At that point, there was all kinds of cover up and new stuff being introduced and promises being made and on and on and on. So I was like, oh, wow. When I looked at the economy further down the road, here's what I wrote in September 2020. Financial system holding together with chewing gum, scotch tape, and promises. Gold is up. Silver is up. Cryptos are up. Stocks are up. I was like, okay, that none of that makes any sense to me. But
Well, stocks, that doesn't surprise me at all.
oh,
Yeah, I didn't think it was prime time yet for gold, silver to be up, but go on.
it's not prime time. It's just going up,
Ah.
trending up. So, and then this is still September. Political tension.
Penny, this was you wrote this down in September of 2019.
No, I wrote this down January 25th. Every month I do a look-see. That's what I call it. Look and see.
January of 2020.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I just did this the other day because I do
Okay.
it every month, about the middle of the month. And this one's a little bit late for January, but I just look at what's the main thing in each month
Yeah.
for the coming year. And it changes
Yeah.
over time,
Hmm.
and sometimes it doesn't change.
Hmm.
So, but I'm interested in what changes and why.
Mhm.
What has changed in the consciousness? So that's what I'm tracking.
Yes.
So the only other thing was I got to October, well, the end of September, political tension is extreme and the crisis in higher education becomes obvious to everybody. And it
What?
looked like nobody was going to college. Hardly any
What?
going to college. Yeah, a lot of,
You mean Harvard, Yale,
all of them,
Wharton's?
all of them struggling. And
Whoa.
so I'm not sure what that is about, but I've seen that before, forgot about it, and then it came up again here in September. And then in October, is there anybody who thinks critically or thinks for themselves anymore without being told what to think or do?
Oh.
Political tensions are extreme, and now they're trading threats. A lot of truth in what was formerly classified as conspiracy theory is coming out about things that have long been hidden regarding medicine, space, education, food, corruption, and a much broader segment of the general population is beginning to grasp what has happened to them over the last 40 years.
Oh.
So,
Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Ooh.
yeah. Yeah, and then, the rest is just November. It looks like Trump wins the election after a fairly brutal campaign. Um,
Yes.
Protests and complaints of unfair follow the election, but it was actually much more brutal for Democrats. I mentioned this before, in the states, as many are voted out of office. I
Ah.
tell you what, it looked really, in some places, there were changes from was it red to blue, but overall the red was like a red, like the whole country was red. And I thought, oh, that's got a sting for the Democrats.
Ooh. Ouch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Later comments point out that the election was not really about Trump. It was about getting rid of Democrats who actively participated in the treason and the corruption and the waste of our time and money
Yeah.
with things like Russian collusion and
Yeah.
Ukraine and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
at that point in time, this is November 2020, people start to look forward for the first time instead of backwards. They're looking to see what we can create. It's like they're just beginning to taste the first trust of we can have a future. What
Mm.
do we want to do with it? And I was pleased to see that.
That's very hopeful. Very
Yeah,
hopeful. Very encouraging.
yeah. Yeah, however, in November, it's very little gets done this month. Everybody is recovering from the tension of the past year.
Yeah.
So, um, and that was pretty much it. December was personal. I was going to Albuquerque, which I've been trying to get to do for the last 2 years.
You finally got to Albuquerque?
Well, no, this
Oh,
is December of this coming year. I'm
okay.
hoping I want to be a snowbird in
Yeah.
Albuquerque.
I don't blame you. I don't blame
Yeah.
you. Mhm.
And then there's an announcement, this was in December, of an operating crypto retail network, which I was very excited about. I had seen that was coming I think last September, October, but what I saw was it was coming in June or July, but it didn't show up in this look-see until the end of 2020.
Oh,
So
okay. When you say cryptos, which coins or tokens in particular?
it actually looked like the Lightning Network, which is going to handle Litecoin, obviously, but other coins as well. And
Oh,
it was a way and that was part of the, excuse me, the confusion around money. People were like, oh, where do I get that? Or how do I get my hands on that? And people not trusting cryptos who know nothing about it
right.
or haven't educated themselves in how to use it, et cetera, et cetera. And we really can't become really comfortable with it until we have a retail network.
Mhm.
And it looked like this retail network actually ended up being, I'm going to call it a marriage between some existing network and and this lightning thing. So I'm just going to make this up. I didn't see this, but it looked like if I had to characterize it, it would be as if there was a marriage between Apple Pay or Google Pay and Lightning Network, because Apple and Google or whatever this other electronic payment system was, maybe it was PayPal for all I know. It was too vague and too early to see, but I was like, oh, wow, yeah,
Oh.
we need a retail network before we can begin to use cryptos.
Yes, exactly. So Coinbase, that word didn't come out.
And that's just an exchange. Coinbase is
Right.
only an exchange.
And
It,
so none of these exchanges build out to become a retail transaction network.
I thought Coinbase or one of those, maybe Kraken, maybe the two of them together, were involved in the
Yeah,
building or the designing of this network.
yeah,
I think there's a lot of people working on that, and they're trying to hurry
yeah.
without making any mistakes. And I don't know how well that's going to go, but um, my thought when I saw it was, I won't be in a hurry to put my coins on this network until I see that it's working, because I don't want them to disappear into crypto heaven.
Right into the crypto black hole. Never
Yeah,
seen again.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. Two more comments actually. Schools and hospitals. Some schools and hospitals close for lack of enough business and poor management.
School?
Um,
Oh, and hospitals? You're
yeah,
kidding. Hospitals?
yeah.
What?
Hospitals and schools, first hints of closings coming at the end of 2020. And not a lot, but enough for those of us watching to go, uh-oh. But education is migrating to online very slowly. And that's going to be the way education is done in the future. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as, oh, here it comes.
Well, does that mean the government is still in charge of the online education?
No, uh-uh. No,
So,
government is not in the business of education or medicine, or they're even struggling to have any kind of say in the financial market, because there's this squabble that goes on. I couldn't see the Fed by the end of the year, by the end of
as in the
20.
Federal Reserve Central Bank of the United States, Fed?
Right. Yeah.
What?
And I think it's still there, but the fact that I couldn't see it is like, okay, where is that? Why is that either being hidden or being somehow obscured? That concerns me. That's something to be watched in the future. And and so there's a lot of change happening. And my thought when I was looking at the Fed was, maybe they're in one of those hospitals that closed trying to get fixed.
And they
Which is
didn't make it. They didn't make it. We lost the patient.
whoops.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that was really, that's really kind of what I've seen. It's really a free for all in terms of finances over 2021. We kind of limp along over 2020. But I've said to everybody who will listen, my God, educate yourself in terms of cryptos, in terms of other currencies, in terms of what's your plan if your pension doesn't come through or your
Oh,
401k
well,
is,
that's a guarantee. No
yeah.
pensions. Yeah.
If the Fed goes to negative interest rates, that means they're going to charge people, banks are going to charge people for holding their money.
That's
What's going
called a
to,
bailout.
no, it's called a bail-in.
I mean, it's a bail. Yes, I mean a bail-in, where you
Yeah,
they use their customers' money. Mhm.
that's right. And when that starts to happen here, people
Mhm.
are just going to take their money out, and there go the banks. They will collapse.
Well, normally the banks close and lock their doors so you can't withdraw the money.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you get caught short, you're out of luck. Up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get back to the newly being developed retail transaction
Yeah.
crypto system.
Yeah.
What type of currencies, cryptocurrencies, and tokens are used? Is it Bitcoin? Is it Veritasium? Is it Litecoin? Is it what?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but my own intuit in terms of what I think makes the most sense, even though I'm not really in support of it, is Ripple, because all the big banks
But that's
are.
the banks.
Yeah, that's right. People have a totally erroneous view of what cryptos make possible. They have said, oh, we can have these transactions with total anonymity. Wrong. We can buy this or buy that, and nobody will ever know. That's wrong. Every single transaction is going to be private. Wrong. They already have, I'm going to say, I'm guessing here, but if I had to guess, I'd say probably 75% of a quantum computer available for the financial markets. I know there is already a quantum computer running. I don't know how many qubits it will handle, but I don't want to say too much more about that because that's off on a different track. But as soon as we have a quantum computer that can handle 256-bit encryption, poof, there goes all of the privacy in the blockchain. It will be absolutely open and accessible to anybody who has a quantum computer. Now, who's going to have that? Well, it's either going to be some form of government, some form of corporation, some form of banking, or some form of wealthy individual. Every single thing just keeps on leading back to the elites that we are already dealing with. And so if we don't deal with the philosophical end of things, which says, are we going to continue to support a lifestyle that shovels money up the pyramid to the guy at the top? At what point do we say, no, that's not going to work, and come up with and I don't think we can fight the old system. I think we just have to design a better new system that says make sure everybody's taken care of, and we don't need that guy over there. So I don't know how that's, going to work out, but we have to address some of the really big questions. It is not okay for 2 or 3%. I was going to say the 1% to have all the money and everybody else struggle. That is not okay. Right. And the challenge, the personal consciousness development challenge, in terms of all of those 99, is look, either you stand up or sit down and shut up. Period. There's no in between. So, if you're going to stand up and say something, don't waste your breath fighting that old system. Let's talk about something new, something that works for, those who are interested and who can build something that works a little better. So there we move into what you call the Scorpio generation.
Yes, the ones who scrape society, just scrape it down to the studs.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes, like on a farm, you have to cut down a few trees and remove some fences in order to see the land and the space in a whole new way. Otherwise, you are in a very subtle way constrained by those existing tree lines and fences, and you can't see what's possible.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's the same mindset. It's the same mindset. Let's look at gold and silver. What was shown with those metals, that money?
They continue to go up. And so does Bitcoin. They're almost like on a par, which I'm looking at gold and silver thinking, okay, those are really real. Bitcoin is a figment of our imagination, our digital imagination. We can value whatever we want, and we seem to be saying, yeah, let's value this Bitcoin. I view it as a move, those who value cryptos and Bitcoin, as being part of that crowd of people that are moving toward becoming a space-based civilization. That's a move toward not being dependent on physical stuff. And that's the move that has to be made at the mental, emotional, and physical level. So gold and silver continue to remain relevant. They do go up quite a bit, but not for a couple more years. They just inch up. They inch up and then they go down and then they inch up. There are moments when they shoot up, but then they drop back. And I'm like, why? Well, what's the problem there? So we'll just have to wait and see. There's too much volatility over the next 12 months to really say it's going one way or the other, and you can count on it. In fact, if there was a theme I would have to say for this next year, it's keep your eyes open and don't count on anything, just watch. Maybe you'll learn something.
And don't commit to anything.
Yeah, not yet.
Going in one direction for the long term.
Yeah, in terms of the economy. The only thing you want to commit to is your own consciousness expansion. That's worth committing to.
And awakening.
And awakening.
That's the expansion is the awakening.
Yeah.
Okay, this wraps up part 3. And stay with us, YouTube members, for part 4 to hear more about what's coming up for us in this year 2020. This is JJ, over and out.